Hello, everyone, and welcome to Deserted Island Dads. This is episode 1 of a 4-part interview series where I sit down with a special guest and talk about all gaming and family and drinking related things that we can think of. My first guest is Jason Young from Advance After Combat. Jason's also an RPG designer and facilitates the Alcoholic Adventure Cabal podcast as well, among many other things. This was a lot of fun. Jason and I just kicked back a few drinks. We talked about war games, of course, but we also did a little drunk philosophy about why we even play games. It's a lot of fun. I hope you enjoy these. I'll warn you, there's probably some swearing in this episode. As I mentioned, we had some drinks as we were recording. And as a reminder, these episodes were pre-recorded. This episode was recorded on April 29th. So thanks again, Jason, for stopping by the island. I hope you all enjoy this series. Hello, friend, and welcome ashore. Welcome to the island.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be out of the ocean.
Yeah, you will find we have an ample supply of quality gaming partners, rum, scotch, and any other spirit you think of. Any
nice.
book
I
you'd
see
ever
Ryan
want.
Gosling over there. Thank God he's here.
Yeah. Do you see who's next to him? That's Claudio Sanchez.
Oh,
Playing an acoustic stick.
Scarjo, hey, how's it going?
Yeah, you nailed it.
What an island.
Right.
It's fucking paradise.
We could just keep going with that. I do have some bad news.
Oh, no.
We're kind of hoping that you washed ashore with some good board games.
Oh, I did bring some games with me. Thank God.
Good.
Or thank the gods. I mean, depending on the island we're on.
All right, so who's with me tonight?
I'm Jason Young, one third of the Advance After Combat podcast. Participate in the Alcoholic Adventure Cabal RPG podcast. I guess what is my Twitter? _RHD on Twitter. Rocking Horse Streams on basically everything else on the internet.
Nice. And RPG designer.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. You can buy my game called Wandering Stars on itch and Drive-Thru RPG. It's fun. It's a kind of rules light sci-fi horror OSRE game. Tons of fun.
Tons of fun. So this is we're recording this earlier. This is recorded on April 29th in preparation of a baby arrival. So this is our first run at Deserted Island Dads. So welcome everyone. And we're here tonight to not only just talk about board games and war games and all the things we like, but also I find I think we're somewhat in the same boat, although those boats have washed us ashore, where we're involved in a lot of hobbies.
Yeah, a little bit.
So we can talk about all that stuff too.
I dig it. Yeah, I like, and it's funny. Like, I tell the story all the time, but at work, I work in a very like manly profession. So every time we do, an introduction thing, and tell us about your hobbies. Everybody's like, yeah, I go mountain biking. We have side-by-side off-road vehicles. We're camping, and it gets to me, and I'm like, I like to read. I like history. Like, okay, nerd, let's continue.
Yeah, my cousin's actually in town from Portland, and we went to a bar last night, and I was like, yeah, I just let it slip. I was like, yeah, I just have this weird interest in Finnish history, and like I was like, it was relevant to what we were talking about, and then like he decided to go down that path. He's like, so what's the deal with Finland? And then it's like, well, okay, here's the thing, like, all right.
And it's hard to explain. It's like, yeah, I'm obsessed with the medieval period in Northwest Europe right now. People are like, okay, I don't know what to say to that. Like, well, you asked, fucker. So what do you want from me? I didn't ask you.
We did some interviews, and one girl was really, really nice, and she did her homework on me, and she's like, and I see that you have an interest in history, and so do I. And I'm just like, yes, I do, but please tell me about your interest, because I'm not going down my rabbit hole.
That's awesome.
Well, plenty of history to be had here on the island. Before we chat any further, I think we should just start with a category.
Okay.
So we're going to go through, we have at least 5 different categories. And let's just start with card game, because maybe that's the smallest, maybe that's the easiest to get out of the way. So if you washed ashore, what's your deserted island card game?
I would wash ashore with Glory to Rome.
Really?
Glory to Rome is a 10 out of 10 game for me. It's a game that if I could play regularly, which I probably could actually, I think if I pushed it, it's fantastic. It's we play a lot of Innovation as a group, and Innovation is great. But Glory to Rome, there's just something in the kind of chaotic nature of that game. It's big. There's a lot of cards. But I don't know, there's just something in the way the multi-use cards work in Glory to Rome that just really, really speaks to me. And frankly, if we're on a deserted island and we need to make up another game based on the games we bring, Glory to Rome probably has enough cards that we could figure out something to do with it.
Enough symbols.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm curious, have you played Matai and I? Which is...
I have.
Okay.
It didn't click as well for me, and I don't exactly know why. I bought it thinking it would be simpler, and my wife, who really likes games but hates learning new games, loves Glory to Rome, and she'll tell you, like, I don't like complex games. You play Glory to Rome, and that's up there. And she loves Power Grid. And we played it, and it didn't click for her. It didn't click for me, and I don't know why. And maybe it's just because it's not Glory to Rome. But I think I've played, what's the dinosaur one? Uchronia.
Yep.
Didn't like that one as much either.
Did you play Red 7?
Love Red 7. Yeah, that's kind of our go-to filler game, especially with new people. Because that's a game that you explain it and people are like, oh, that's weird.
Right.
And then they play it and they're like, okay, we need to play that again.
Or you explain it and you make your wife cry. And then you feel like a jerk.
There's that.
Yeah. Red 7 has a tainted past for me.
That's fair. It is, and it can be super mean. And for me, because I'm a dumbass, the first time I played it, my turn got over and I was like, I won. And they were like, we still have cards. Like, the game's not over because you're winning. You haven't lost because you're winning. So
it's not Uno.
It's right, exactly.
So I'll back up a little bit because we just listed a whole bunch of games, and I think we should give credit due or credit where credit's due. And these are all Carl Chudik games.
That's right. Yep.
Everything we listed. And so if you had to rank all of those, I'm going to put you on the hot seat here. It sounds like Glory to Rome's at the top.
Oh yeah, 10 out of 10. Then I would put Innovation. So Glory Rome, I guess, to back up even a little bit from that, each card has basically 5 uses on it, and on your turn you'll choose one of the cards in your hand. It has a roll associated with it, which is an action, and then it goes around the table. Those people can discard a card matching that to do that same thing, or if they have that patron on their board already, they can get additional bonuses from that, or passing it cards. And so with that kind of lead and follow mechanism, everybody stays engaged throughout the game, and you're basically building buildings that give you special powers that break the game. And it can last like 20 minutes or it can last an hour, and it's basically fun no matter what.
And so when I think deserted island games, I think about replayability, and it just like, so do you think that Glory to Rome offers the most like variability or replayability between plays, or is it just your favorite and that's why?
It's both. I think it has a lot of replayability because it has so many cards, because each game is going to be very different, and it has a little bit. My second favorite of his games is Innovation, which is probably a 9, maybe 9.5 out of 10. But I don't think it has the crunch, I guess, that Glory to Rome has.
Okay.
But it's crazy fun still. So if I couldn't bring Glory to Rome, it would be Innovation, and it's in a smaller box, and and all that. Um, and then from there, I think it kind of goes down. I've played the space game, which I wasn't a huge fan of. Uh, Montanai, I think, would probably be number 3. Then probably Uchronia, then the space game. I think is kind of where. Oh, Red 7's actually after Innovation.
Sure.
I love Red 7.
Nice.
I haven't played Flowerfall, which looks fun. It's kind of like a card dexterity game where you're tossing cards onto points, and I haven't played that. But
I don't even know if I'm familiar with that one.
that might not actually be Carl Chudzik, actually. That
No,
might
it is.
be,
It is.
Is it? Okay.
Mm-hmm. So, which version of Glory to Rome do you watch the short?
Oh, Black Box, baby.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know what?
I mean, I have it. It's like it's worth $300. I'm going to bring it to the island.
Not a satellite
somebody.
phone.
No, I don't. No, seriously. I don't want to talk to anybody. I just want to play Glory to Rome.
Boom. And you know what? Here's some great opponents. I think they're coming over to take our drink orders. Tom Burke and Holiday Granger.
Oh, nice.
So they want to know, what are you drinking?
I am drinking my 3rd Negroni of the night.
Very, very good.
And I am very excited to hear what you were drinking.
So first off, I started the night out with, I got to give some praise to this IPA. It's a hazy IPA called Wrestle Daddy. And the can
You've been a fan.
Oh, yeah. Like, I stopped in Omaha, basically on our way out of town, to reload up. And it was that good. It was a nice little brewery. The one shitty thing they did, like you check out, we grabbed a beer. I was with my father-in-law. We had a beer, and then we each got a few more 6-packs, like as a final, like, all right, let's reload up. Their debit credit card machine defaulted to like a 30 or 35% tip. It was like, I bought 1 beer and I'm buying 4 6-packs, and you want me to give you like, what, like a third? Like, no, I'm like $1. If I'm getting a beer, usually it's like $1 tip. Like, I lifted these 6-packs. Like, what? Anyways, that's good stuff.
Are you a wrestle daddy? Do you like wrestling?
Oh yeah, closet. So, my wife and I were married on a Saturday. We were leaving on our honeymoon on. Did we leave on Tuesday or Wednesday? We left on a Thursday, and that Monday my throat started hurting. But then my wife surprised me with Monday Night Raw tickets, and my one claim to fame is I started a Seth Rollins "You Sold Out" chant at the Sprint Center.
I don't know who that is, but I like that story.
Hell yeah! So that was earlier. Now I'm drinking something you recommended me quite a while ago. I'm doing the rum version, but I'm enjoying a Trade Winds right now.
It's a good drink.
It's very good. And for those who don't know, I've got light rum. I chose the Plantation 3-star. And then to keep it on brand for dark rum, I did the Plantation Original Dark. And then you have lemon juice. Then you have apricot liqueur. And then you have basically liquid candy, which is cream and coconut.
Mm-hmm.
And it's good.
It's very good. I like the gin version, so you just replace the rum with gin. It's a little bit drier. But yeah, it's solid. Aaron doesn't really like the gin version, so I'll make us each one in our preferred with the you gotta get the little paper umbrella, break it and stick it in the lime or the lemon shell. Oh, it's such a good drink.
Now, I was going to do the gin version at your recommendation, but the only gin I have on store right now is aged gin. And I don't think that would be, or sorry, not, Old Tom gin is what I have.
Yeah, that probably wouldn't work as well.
Nice. Okay. So like if you're brewing up a Negroni, when I make a Negroni, I tend to go Old Tom gin. Old Tom gin has surpassed dry gins. I still like Beefeater, actually. Like, I've discovered that I enjoy Beefeater way more than Bombay. Bombay was like my introductory gin. So like, what's your go-to gin for just in general, and then when you're making a Negroni?
I really like Beefeater, but my go-to is Tanqueray. I really, really don't like Bombay. The Bombay Dry is okay, but Bombay Sapphire I really, really don't like. Aaron really likes gin, basically. But she prefers Tanqueray to Beefeater, so that's what we buy. But I would probably prefer Beefeater a little bit, especially in a Negroni. But we have, I don't know, 5 or 6 gins we keep on in stock. We keep the Botanist and Aviation and Hendrix and Tanqueray and
Sprinkle around a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like when I was in college, I was like, oh yeah, I like Bombay Sapphire, and then like I just started having like gin and tonics, or I'm more of a gin and soda water these days.
Yeah, I don't like tonic either.
And like I started like really disliking them, and then I found it was the Bombay Sapphire.
Yeah,
and then I had
it has a
Beefeater.
weird thing in it.
Mm.
Tanqueray's classic. I mean, it's not overly...
I don't know if I've really had Tanqueray.
It's good, and just regular, like not the 10, not the super appropriative Jaipur or whatever. It's solid.
Next time you're up here, we'll have to do Tom's Town.
Mm-hmm.
Either they do these really cool release parties, like you pay $25, but then you also go home with their limited release. And they've done like Navy Strength gin.
Oh yeah, that's the best.
And they've done bourbons and all kinds of stuff, but that's my other go-to, and that's what I don't think they call it an Old Tom, but they have an aged gin, and that's what I've got on the liquor shelf right now.
I love liquor. I was gonna say I love gin, but not really. I like all of it.
Well, let's. I made this comment at the show, like we're omni hobbyists, or so. If you had to shoehorn your gaming hobby into one category, which is a pretty big ask, just based off your interest and what I know about you, what would you do? Like, are you a war gamer first? Are you an RPGer first? Or do you just consider yourself, I'm flavor of the month?
If I had to go with one, I think it would be historical wargaming. I really like, especially like family style Euro games. But really that's mostly me pushing it with the family. I mean, my family all likes to play games, but it's a low priority. So if anything else comes up, it's gaming kind of gets pushed to the sideline. I really love RPGs for the kind of group environment and the storytelling. I'm also not naturally very social, so sometimes that it can just be a lot.
Right.
So historical war games, I think for me, you kind of get a good mix. It does have the gaminess. It does have some interaction, but you can also do them solo, and so for me, I think that's really where I sit mostly. That said, I'm very picky with what I play, and it kind of creates some weird things. I don't play a ton of World War II games. I don't really have any interest in World War II, especially the European theater. Most of the French stuff I don't really like. So I have really like 3 niche time frames, I guess, in wargaming that I kind of focus on. But I think still there's enough game there for me to play around with, and then there's enough intersection, especially now since I've gotten into the Civil War, that I can find people to play with.
So what are those 3 categories?
Really medieval, the American Civil War, and the Vietnam War.
Nice.
And when I say the Vietnam War, that includes the Chinese wars with Vietnam, the French Indochina War, and the American War in Vietnam.
Did you just roll Korea into that too, just so
a little bit,
really
yeah. Kind of post Cold War, yeah. Or I guess Cold War.
Cold War,
yeah.
Nice. Well, you were setting up a good transition, then we blew past it, so I'm gonna wrangle it back in, and that's, you started talking about like family and gaming, and so let's bring up another category, which is your Deserted Island non-war game board game.
And this is not a family game.
Okay.
This is going to be 1830 for me.
Oh,
Yeah, big train gamer, big just kind of train nerd in general. And it had to be a train game. And if we're going to have a hypothetical who's who of people on the island, we're going to have time to teach these people how to play a game. And I think 1830 is a good one. I think it's infinitely replayable. There is some metas I think that can kind of creep out of a group's play style in 1830, but it's just such a good game, and it's so rewarding. It's
what
I don't know that
celebrity
it's
would?
my
Go ahead.
I don't know that it's my favorite 18xx game, but it's almost perfect in what it does.
I think that's a valid statement. And the more I play 1830, and the more I play with different, my 1830 group is with the Advanced After Combat. Like my 1830 plays are almost strictly with that, with the Advanced After Combat group. I've since gotten different and diverse plays, and you just see all these divergent different game styles come out, and you learn different strategies, and your mind gets blown. I'm playing in a group now where they like to start a lot of suitcase companies, and I think playing with our group, I think we tend to play very conservatively. I'm saying we, but the Advanced After Combat group, where there's very little multi-share mind. I hardly see, when we're playing with Rex or Duck or name your opponent. I rarely see cross buying in our group. I think it's really safe, and in this group, I think they're more aggressive, and that offers more chances to dump, and then just different levers each time is different. It's not my favorite 18xx, but it does offer that variable gameplay.
Yeah, and it has the kind of sharp corners, and there's some very definite, I think, strong strategies, but I think each of those strategies has ways around it. And, especially in that kind of group thinking, oh, this guy got this and this combination, and so now we kind of need to pile in the leader, and then who kind of rises from the ashes, and it offers a lot of kind of dickhead moves, with kind of that kind of grand strategy in mind. So what's your favorite 18xx game?
Look, it's way too early. Recently I ranked 49. I still really like 49. I'm seeing, once someone points a flaw out to you, then it's in the back of your head, where there's not a lot of variance in play. It follows
for track laying and stuff.
Right. I'm actually okay with that. It is.
It's so good.
With more plays, have you played 41? 1841?
No.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
The short of it is companies can buy other companies.
Mm-hmm.
A company can float another company. There's so many interesting levers to pull, and I find those levers, there's almost as many levers as 1817, but I find them more enjoyable in 41.
Sure.
So given time, probably 1841, and then given time 1841, if I had to pick a train game myself, maybe what washes the shore.
Sure. Yeah. I can get behind that.
The one downside is it's you can only get it through Golden Spike, and it's very expensive.
And that's way out.
Someone needs to reprint it.
Yeah, 49 so 10 for me too. It's solid.
So good. It's just me, and I'm playing in the tournament for it. And in 2 of my 3 games I've dumped all over people. And have bought up in one of them. I think I've bought doubles, and we're closing out, and I have doubles in 2 or 3 companies that aren't buying.
That's the best.
Just feels good.
When you can get the presidency and the double, it's oh yeah.
Yeah,
crispy.
Right. All that time. There's so many interesting timing mechanics in that game, even if the track lane's the same.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you had to watch, what who would be a celebrity 18xx shark, you think, that you'd want to watch ashore on the island? I don't know if I can even think of one. I'm just
Christoph Waltz.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. I can buy that.
Yeah.
All right. So the segment's called, or this little maternity leave project is called Deserted Island Dad. And you mentioned it like the non war game board games. Although you picked 1830, we talked about these like family games we like to play, and so like I want to just explore that a little bit more. Like, all right, if you're sitting down to play a game with a family, like what kind of game have you found success with? Like, I have good success with Cat. Like, we know the types of games we want to play. Like, what games have you found work for your kids?
And my kids really will go with the flow.
Okay.
Especially my daughter. I mean, she was 10 playing. She'd go to board game days with me and just kind of play whatever people would teach. My son's pretty much the same way. He'll basically play whatever. Erin is my wife is kind of the linchpin, because again, she likes playing games. She hates learning games.
Mm.
So first pick would be a game she's familiar with. And then from there, there's certain things she likes. So I kind of try to navigate those waters. We've been playing a lot of Castles of Tuscany lately.
Uh-huh.
She likes that quite a bit. She really likes Kingsburg. I think she likes
Nice.
dice. And I think she does like the kind of worker placement piece of that, kind of placing your dice on the board. And then she really likes trick-taking games. So we've been playing as a family The Crew a lot, the first one, the space one. And that's the one lately she's been going to. It's either that or like a roll and write, like That's So Clever, or Encore or Quicks.
Ooh,
She
Quicks
really
and
likes
Quinto
those.
are great.
Yeah, they're they're fun, and so that's, if we ever go anywhere for dinner, I'll put in the bag one of those, just kind of depending on what I'm feeling, and then something like Point Salad, something like For Sale, those kind of easy.
Sale.
Yeah, she also likes auctions, so like For Sale. Matt Allen brought over Modern Art a couple weeks ago. Played that. She really liked that. She's like, we need to own that game.
That's a good sign.
Yeah. And so, yeah. And that's, she's like, I don't like complicated games. Yes, you do. Cause she loves Power Grid. Like, you'll play Power Grid for 2 hours. Like, don't tell me you don't like heavy games. It's just, you don't want to get past that learning, which I get,
Right.
I do like that, but I can see why she doesn't.
Have you played Super Skill Pinball?
No. So actually, it's so funny that you mentioned that, because I've been trying to, and she'll never listen to this, so it doesn't matter. So I have like my spending budget for the month, and things come out of that. But if we go to the game store together, typically the little one and the middle one will get Pokemon cards, and then I'll kind of like. So then that comes out of the family budget, right? So I've been trying to get her to go to the game store because she does like roll and writes, and she likes pinball. So that's going to be on the agenda the next time we get to the game store, which is probably 2 or 3 weeks away. But I know you recommend it.
Yes, well, and my wife does too. Like a good memory of mine is we had rented a cabin last winter. I was tired as hell. Well, there was only like 2 rooms, so our daughter like slept in her pack playing the night, and she was like up all night, so I was tired. And I fell asleep at like 7:30, and I woke up at like 8:15, dice rolling, and there was my wife playing
that's so good.
Pinball. So it's got a great solo mode, but that's never happened. Like she will play any game I throw at her at least once, excluding war games.
Sure,
and
yeah, that's fair.
Like, it just blew my mind. It was so cool to see, like, finally, after, like, she's playing a solo game by herself, and that's, like, not her thing, but she likes pinball that much. It's a good one.
That's so good. Yeah, I need to get it.
Not that this is a show about, like, recommendations and stuff, but Paul and I played... Sure. Right. It is. It is. It is. Paul and I played Dr. Jackal and Mr. Hyde. It's a
Oh
two-player
yeah,
trick
yeah,
taking game. It's pretty good.
yeah.
It's similar to this game that I'm also really high on right now called Maskman. Maskman's
Oh sure,
a
yeah.
shedding game where you don't know like how strong. Speaking of wrestling, how strong each color is, and in Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, you don't know how strong each suit is until they're played. It's and like one player wants to either shoot the moon or take everything, and one player wants to keep everything balanced. So a little like Fox in the Forest, but different, and
Are,
it's good.
are there special powers on the cards?
Yep. Yeah. Certain
Okay,
cards
so
have special powers. Yep.
so Aaron won't like it. So we,
Mm.
because I tried, because she loves trick taking games, like she loves spades, but I tried Fox in the Forest, and she was like, I don't like when the cards have special powers. It's like,
Oh
what do
yeah.
you mean? She was like, well, like it's a two of diamonds. It should just be a two of diamonds. It's like, but it says it on the card, and she was like, I don't like when cards have special powers. I'm like, you love Glory to Rome. What are you talking about? So it's very confusing. But I might still pick it up. I mean, pick it up, and if she doesn't like it, then sell it and whatever. Because it looks super cool, and we both like that story quite a bit.
Yeah. I mean, I would say it probably leans into the powers a little bit more, but there's only 5 non-suited cards, and those are the ones with the powers. So I don't know if this...
She'll like that because she likes Haggis, which is kind of similar with the kind of bombs.
So I'm going to throw one more out to you, and then we'll get back on topic. And this has been like, I've been watching like pre-orders in another group like sort for this thing. It's called Cat in the Box. Have you heard of this?
I'm anti-cat, but no, I have not.
Imagine a trick-taking game. And let's say you have 3 sevens, and you play a 7. That 7 can be, and just for like, use colors in this game, but let's just say it could be a spade, a heart, a diamond, or a club. You pick the suit when you play that 7. No one else can then pick a 7 of clubs, or in the actual game, it's like 7 of yellow. And then I think the game ends when someone gets in a paradox, when they're going to play a card and it's impossible. Like, you have to follow suit, and all you have is a 7, and someone's already played the 7 of yellow. Like, well, all right. You broke the universe.
That's cool. It's kind of like Red 7 trick-taking game.
A little bit, yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
and
cool.
It plays 2 to 5. And that's why I don't know how the 2-player is, but they just like opened up like Renegade Games, or someone's bringing like a deluxe version. Looks really cool. Cat in the Box.
Interesting. Yeah.
All right, so let's go back to like family real quick. So was there a conscious effort for any of your kids? You said your daughter went with you to game days. Was it like, hey, I'm gonna get, I mean, this show is called Deserted, not Desert. Yeah, it is Desert, not Dessert. I think the cocktail's kind of catching up. Like it's like second kid's on the way. So like, was there a conscious effort? Was that like something you set up to do? Like, I want my kids to be involved with gaming.
Not really. I when I got into Eurogaming, probably 2000, I guess it was right around 2008, 2009. We were broke. You know, the bottom had kind of fallen out of the economy. We were broke. I mean, that's what it was. And so it was kind of looking for something to do that wasn't watching TV and didn't cost a lot of money.
Hell yeah.
So I bought Carcassonne. What was the other one I bought early on? Ticket to Ride.
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that. And my daughter was right at that age where, you know, we had a Wii, but we didn't really have a lot else going on. And so she really kind of glommed onto it. We would go, and my wife's family is very close-knit. So we would go to like family dinners and play big group games and party games, apples to apples and things like that. And I would bring Carcassonne, and people are like, wow, this is really crazy. This is really cool. And she really connected to it. So I didn't really have to kind of push it with her. And then as I got kind of deeper into the hobby, she kind of came with me until she was probably 14 or 15, and she got really involved in sports and kind of moved on. And our game group kind of dissolved as I kind of got into war games and kind of got away from that stuff. But we would still play family games all the time. And my son he's 4 years younger than she is, and so he kind of came up just being exposed to it. He's not as inclined toward the like heavier Euro. Like my daughter really likes economic games. She likes the kind of engines and kind of building the pieces. My son really likes, like, he grew up and I would go to Goodwill because again we were broke, and found this weird game with little hexagons and plastic miniatures called HeroScape, and I just bought it on a lark, like, this looks weird, and we played the shit out of HeroScape.
Yes.
Like every weekend, and I've never won, like, and he was young, and he would just kick my butt at HeroScape, and so that was kind of his thing. And then we would play like Blockus and some of the more kind of abstracty, the Magic Labyrinth and things like that. And now with Cameron, so I have a 20-year-old, a 16-year-old, and a 6-year-old, so kind of big spread. Now with Cameron, we're kind of exploring, because he's younger, kind of the HABA games now, which we didn't really do with the middle boy when he was younger. So we have some HABA games now, but he's kind of getting to that age where we're playing Mice and Mystics, and he's tried to play Gloomhaven with us. But what the middle boy really likes is RPGs. He asked me, I think this was a few years ago now, but I think it was his 12th birthday. And he knows, I've been playing RPGs and whatever. And I asked him what he wanted to do for his birthday. He was like, I want to have friends over and I want to play D&D. Like,
nice.
Okay, we can make that happen. So we did that. And so that's what we've been doing. And I'm going to try to kind of get it on a pretty regular schedule. Is with the younger one who's 6, we're playing Mausritter, which is kind of, it's not Mouse Guard, but it's, you play as anthropomorphic mice who are kind of defending their keep and going out on an adventure. And it's pretty kid friendly. It's very rules light. So we've been playing that, the 3 of us, and it's such a great game. It's so light, but it has this kind of open storytelling where I'm not, because I'm old, I'm not great at playing. So when the little one wants to just, hey, let's play, like he wants to play Pokemon, like with figures. Like, well, I know what this Pokemon does, so that's what it does. He's like, no, it can be a ghost fairy type. I'm like, well, those don't really exist, which he doesn't like to hear, and I get that. So, and then the older one is really into, video games and stuff. And so it kind of gives us this language to all sit down together and kind of play in this open world, but there's still rules, and there's rules that everybody can kind of follow, even the 6-year-old. And it's been great for us. So we all kind of have our own little niches, and then kind of can come together around RPGs.
That's awesome, and a beautiful segue into what RPG washes ashore.
Yeah, this is hard for me. I'm gonna bring GURPS with me. Because it's generic and universal. It can do all the stuff. It's not my favorite system, but I do like GURPS. And I think in this kind of situation, it could basically do whatever you want.
That's fair. I get that you're weighing the desert island versus the like favorite or
exactly. It can do so much. You could and if it wasn't GURPS, it would probably be something like Maze Rats, which is I really like. It's funny. So I'm bringing GURPS to the island, but I really like rules light, and especially Mausritter's D20, but I really like 2D6 or 3D6 systems with kind of the bell curve. So Maze Rats is 2d6 system, but it's still kind of a very OSRE kind of. It's basically what if original D&D was 2d6 kind of thing. But GURPS, I mean, there's enough in that base book that you could basically do whatever you want.
Right. You could fill any role. I'll say that I don't know if I would like ever be able to identify in one or another. Like, I love big meaty systems or super rich lore and like all this stuff with like big payoff, but it takes a lot of work. But also, some of my favorite RPG sessions are those heist sessions we did, which is
those are so good.
rules light,
yeah,
complete theater of the mind, no prep. You just show up and you pull off a heist.
Mm-hmm.
And those were so good. And like, I think that's why, you said like you and your family have come up with this like common language over RPGs. I think that's why it works, because there's so many ways to reach like a common objective. And like I can have this super crunchy thing, and then also I can have like, all right, everyone just bring a D6. We're not even going to use a virtual tabletop. We're just going to sit down and hang out, and that's like the best.
Yep. Yeah, I love it. And I was thinking actually, I was poking around on stuff online and saw the Hoser game we'd played.
Yes.
Kind of one-on-one, kind of down on his luck, amateur hockey player, like just so good. And some of those stories are they're just the best.
Yeah, I think when you give, I don't know like what I like most. I think when you give the players the most room to role play. Remember when in Mark's game, in Leroy's game, we did like we braced with our character's death, and we were two dead characters, and he just sat back and like let us talk about death.
Yep.
And that's where I really like RPGs, where the players have room to really get into it. And sometimes you don't always get that. Sometimes you need to push the players along. But if they do just get that like ability to role play and live in the moment, is like awesome.
Yeah. I hope we get back to that, because I do think about those sessions a lot, and it's like heartwarming but still like super dark. And your OBX game, right? Like it's that system kind of gets out of the way. You just let the characters kind of do whatever, and it creates this story within the group. And is that six guys sitting around the table telling a story, being able to kind of escape a little bit for a couple hours at a time, and just come together and tell the story of, even though that's not a fantastical world, it's still a fantastical story with these kind of heightened characters who are playing very specific archetypes. That's not something we get day to day, and that's really why I like RPGs so much.
All right, I don't want to lose this thread, because this leads brilliantly to a follow-up question that I already had, and like you haven't seen this, but I do want to get another one out of the way, and then we're going to circle right back to this. And I think this may be, I'm going to assume that this is maybe your least played category, and that's Deserted Island miniature games.
Yeah, I'm not really a miniatures guy. So I would, if you'll allow Gloomhaven to be a miniatures game, I would take Gloomhaven. Because again, I think there's enough in that box to just play with. But again, once that's done, there's enough story in there that can kind of keep going with whatever the characters become, and whatever else kind of, even if it's just Jaws of the Lion, which my son and I've been playing, is that's a $35 box that has hours and hours and hours in it. That's just so good.
Plus, you're on a deserted island, so you don't really have to worry. My only complaint with Gloomhaven, and we've bought Jaws of the Lion to address this, is we quit playing because it was such a pain to reset up and get everything back out.
Yep. And even Jaws of the Lion is still a bit of a bear for that, but the map at least is easy.
Right. All right, so I want to pick up that thread again. And this kind of stems from like something that Facebook actually recommended to me, and it was an interview with Sid Saxon.
Okay. Classic.
Right. And we touch on this with RPGs, but like, why, before I reveal like the comment in the interview that resonated with me, is why do you play games? Like, why do you play RPGs? Why do you play war games? Why do you play train games? Why do you play Euro games? And it can be different answers for each of them, but I'm just curious, like, what's the why behind all of this?
I think all of them are basically the same, and even the reason I read is it, I'm going to say escapism, and
Yeah.
it and I think that has some kind of bad weight to it, some bad kind of, I don't know, you know, association with it. I don't have anything I'm trying to escape necessarily. It's just, you know, it's and it's the same reason a lot of people watch TV or movies, but this is interactive. Books, you kind of get the kind of learning, especially on the nonfiction side, and kind of the storytelling. But it is kind of transporting you into um, another place in whatever that means for you. Um, and the reason I like to do it with games is because I'm I'm old. I'm not super creative anymore. So having that rule set around it kind of helps facilitate the escape. So if it's a historical war game, I'm able to, okay, I'm this overall commander commanding a battle of knights, going up against the Turks in the desert, whatever that is. And even solo, you can kind of do that from both sides. And RPG is obviously the same. And RPGs is really just that kind of, and especially within our play group, we get stories that you can't get anywhere else. It's they might be a little bit sophomoric at times, but we're all really good at playing as our characters and kind of getting into it. And we don't necessarily all do silly voices or whatever, but we're true to the character and true to the setting and true to the story in a way that you don't get that at work, right? Everybody's still playing a character in a way, but that that collective story isn't as interesting. I think Euro games and family games are a little bit different. It's kind of seeing the mechanisms work a little bit, but it is still kind of, let's carve out an hour away from the television, away from whatever else is going around. And when we do sit down to play a family game, it's the culture around the table is you put your phone somewhere else. We don't have our phones at the table. We just kind of sit down and play the game. So it is just a break from reality.
I mean, you nailed it on the head. And I think I knew that all along, and there's past examples of it. But like, this was some interview with Sid Sackson, like in the 80s or something like that. And it's just like, he's talking about how it's like just a few hours to get away from everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you start to think about it, it's like, yeah, when I'm playing 1830, and I don't mean like playing, between work calls or something like that, or an 18xx
Sure.
like games, or playing a board game arena. Like, there, I'm just playing to play the games. But last week was Donkey Kong, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna do all these phone updates and like show how our Hakapali game's going and all this stuff. And then I didn't. And that's
because
I think
because you're present.
Right, I'm present, and I'm unplugged from that. There's no work bothering me. I don't need to check my phone to like see what's going on. I just like, all that stuff is like, yeah, there's people in a room and we're bullshit with each other and all this other stuff when we're talking. But it is just a few hours or all day or 30 minutes or 15 minutes, whatever you're playing, where none of that matters. And I understand that there are very serious real life situations, and not everyone has that opportunity to escape.
Yep.
But taking that advantage and getting the opportunity to that is like important. Like, I need to turn work off sometimes, or just the outside world, like news cycle, whatever it is, bam,
Mm-hmm.
off. Let's get lost in the crew or what, you name it, And I do check my phone. Like, I notice, like, I'm not checking my phone when I'm like really into a new game, and that's like always a good thing in my mind.
For sure. Yeah. And it's something my wife works in community development, and she's kind of updating their language kind of across their programs, because they talk about things like time management, and everybody has 24 hours in their day. I'm like, well,
Right.
we're pretty well off. Our 24 hours looks a lot different than a lot of the people coming to these courses 24
Right.
hours. I don't have to take the bus to work. I don't have to, do all these different things that these people do. But I think there is, whatever time you can get, having that time away from the phone, away from the TV distractions. And I love my phone. I mean, I love social media. It's Instagram and Twitter are great. I mean, they're awful, but they're great. They, it's both things. And TV, we have our shows and movies, but there's something about a game, especially with a group of like-minded people or your family, that just creates a different environment that you don't get anywhere else. And yeah, and people don't see it. You talk about playing board games, and it's Monopoly, and like, well, if that's your game, that's fine. But there's a lot of games out there that do a lot better and kind of can teach you something, can show you something, can entertain you in ways that a lot of people just it kind of gets invalidated, right? Because it's like it's a game. Like, well,
Right.
I guess.
They do a lot of good, and like that's a whole nother topic. I will share a story. Like one day, like ton on my plate at work, and then like Kat. This was before we had kids, and like Kat was heading off to work, and then she got a flat tire, like right away. And then I was like, fuck, well, I got to get her to work or her to the Firestone, wherever we took her. I don't know. And then I was like, fuck it, let's just stay home. And I know like not addressing your problems isn't like the right thing to do, but like we both were just like, all right, you know what? We're canceling today. And we started with what's that art? The Gallerist. And then
yeah. Wow.
We played like 4 rounds of Viticulture, and all we did from like sun up from sundown, hang out with the dogs and play games, and ignored all responsibility. Maybe not the healthiest thing, but it's still one of my like favorite board game memories, period.
Yeah, that's so good.
Right.
That's so good.
All right, I saved the maybe most topical for you for last, and that's War Games, War Games is what brought you and I together, and then eventually in RPGs and stuff, but War Games was our first shared common thread. So if you wash ashore with one War Game, what are you washing ashore with?
I've gone back and forth on this. So initially I thought Vietnam 1965, 1975. It's a big game. There's a lot of game in there. And then I was thinking, well, what about Fields of Fire? I would finally have time to sit down with the rule book and figure it out. But if there's people here, let's take advantage of that and let's be a little bit more social, and let's open it up. And I'm gonna stick with my gut and go Vietnam 1965, 1975.
Nice. The classic. Like, I mean, obviously on your podcast, you guys have talked about it as one of the best war games ever, right?
It is my favorite war game. Yeah. It's, I don't know. And it's a part of it for me is it's very topical to me. Since I was in 6th grade, probably, I've been obsessed with the American War in Vietnam. And I don't know, just the messiness of it and everything around it. There's no right answers, and I just love that. Like, World War II, it's very kind of cut and dry, and yeah, there's a lot of interesting operations and tactical decisions going on there, but to me, it's a very clear cut and dry, right? Like, we know who the good guys were, we know who the bad guys were. Vietnam is a little bit muddier, and were the reasons we were there even worth being there for, and those kinds of things are what I really like, is kind of that gray, kind of messy, muddy area. And this game somehow captures it basically perfectly. And the new GMT version of it that just came out, Nick Karp's kind of updated designer notes. He talks about how he kind of came about some of the mechanisms in it, and kind of laying aside all of the kind of wargaming conventions and I go, you go, and this kind of turn thing. And that's not how that war was fought. There's no front. It's, you have to go find the enemy, and that enemy might not even be there. And it captures that so well. And I've only played scenarios, and there's enough in there on the scenarios. You could play, I think in the new version, there's 8, I think, something like that, which is a ton. I mean, that's a ton of game just right there. But then you have 2 campaign scenarios, which will last you years. So, looking at it from a deserted island perspective, Vietnam, the campaign game, you could really kind of get in there and play around with it.
Nice. It's a good pick.
It's such a good game. I'm so glad GMT reprinted it. I had a little bit of part in it, but
it's pretty cool that they were everyone involved.
Mm-hmm.
Both GMT, Nick, Mitch, and those guys. Everyone who helped develop
Justin, Ralph. Yeah, such a good crew.
Right. It's really cool that's back. I'm looking forward to seeing if it lives up to the hype, because whenever I started listening, I'm sure that Vietnam was talked about right from the get-go. So it's always been this thing like, I got to play Vietnam. So
Masher White Wing, that's where it's at. It's such a good scenario.
Nice. All right. Anything you want to talk about before we turn the heat up and get to the hot seat?
Oh, shit. I don't think so. I think we've pretty well covered it. We keep kind of touching on, the multi hobbyist. I was that kind of made me a little bit reflective, because my other current obsession is pipes and pipe tobacco, and that's kind of that same thing, right? Like when I go have a pipe, it's reflective, it's away from everything. I put my phone down. I might listen to music or listen to an audiobook or something, but I'm kind of getting away and just kind of, almost meditating, kind of breathing and getting this kind of alone time. That the talking about why we game kind of made me reflect on a little bit.
Even if you could find that with probably a lot of hobbies. I mean, even if there's probably a certain element to that, even just with pins,
Mm-hmm.
we both like nice pins, and it's nice to I'm on this computer all day and I maintain a project list on my computer, but it's nice to step away and use a nice pin and just organize myself,
journal,
and compartmentalize,
or organize,
right.
My daughter actually, I guess 2-3 years ago for Father's Day, got me a book called Your Father's Story. And it's this big notebook that has writing prompts in it. So it's, you would write to your kids in it.
Wow.
And so I try to do it, a couple times a month. And some of it's pretty heavy.
Right.
But yeah, I'll, ink up a pen and kind of put my favorite ink in a pen and kind of have at it. And yeah, it's just kind of that quiet time to yourself, kind of getting away from the day to day and, worrying about something other than what do I have due tomorrow?
Right. Man, that's deep. I love the idea of that, but I also don't know my comfort level confronting something like that.
I've skipped some of that, and I don't have answers to all of the questions in there. There's a lot of we have a weird family history, so yeah. But it kind of puts you in kind of that reflective mode a little bit, and you answer. I've been answering the stuff that I feel comfortable answering, and if I get to the rest of it, I get to the rest of it.
Right. Well, good. I think that's a good way to wrap up the more serious stuff, because obviously the hot seat's more lighthearted and stuff. That's great. It's a
good discussion. Yeah, it's made me very reflective.
Yeah, I mean, and that's not on one hand, I on one hand, I have this objective of kids are on the way, so I want to talk about family and gaming stuff, but then there's, I don't know, it's something will sink in, and then it just sticks with me. And like that Sid Sachs interview was just like an ad or something, and like it's so weird that it stuck with me. Did you watch Midnight Mass?
No, I've heard you and Rich talk about it, but I haven't watched it.
So there's a line from that show, and I won't spoil it. And however many months ago Midnight Mass came out, like I still think about that line, and it's weird, like how you latch on to things like that. And it's like just a stupid line from the show, but it's still like an important moment, and then like it's still like I don't know. I don't even know where I was going with that, but that's where we're at.
No, I think those things are important. I mean, and not to kind of stay too heavy, but if something kind of clicks, I think it's important to take notice of it. And
sure,
if there's something to learn from it, and kind of incorporate it. I'm in a very kind of Buddhist mode, so those kind of small lessons, I'm trying to learn.
Nice. All right, let's have some fun. Let's do the hot seat. And I was talking to someone the other day. I spelled out. I said, "Hey, the history on the table hot seat," and they're like, "I just got that." So this actually came from someone on Reddit. It's the hot seat. It's the HOTT seat.
Yeah.
And some people may not have caught on to that, but that's where we're at. All right, you ready?
I am.
Okay. I am. Some of these you may hit on, but I already had the list, and so I'm just going to punch them. You can't think too long. So here we go. Favorite topic to play a war game on?
Vietnam.
Favorite topic to read about?
Oh, right now, U.S. presidents.
Nice. First war game?
Washington's War.
Best gaming experience?
Oh, maybe GCACW at Donkey Kong last year. that was so good. 4-player GCACW. Oh man, that was so good. Duck was so mad at me. Oh man. Oh, that game was so good. I think about that weekly.
Especially considering this year was a letdown in the game we chose. It was a great week, but like compared to that year and the OCS year, like man.
And I wasn't there. Super bummer.
Right, exactly. Favorite shipwreck movie, TV show, or book? Like any of those. Favorite any of those that deals with the shipwreck?
So like if I had to have one.
Yeah, like I would say Gilligan's Island. I've always been a huge Gilligan's Island fan. When I was a kid,
about a shipwreck.
Yeah.
Oh, interestingly enough, I'm reading. What is it called? I am reading In the Heart of the Sea right now about the shipwreck of the Essex.
Okay.
It was kind of it's what Moby Dick is based on.
Okay.
So I'll pick that.
Sure. What game's on your table right now?
Infidel.
It's nice.
I'm still obsessed with Men of Iron, so I'm playing the Heron, the Battle of Heron, 1104 AD from Infidel from the Men of Iron tri-pack.
I know we've got a Shirko game to play, but like
it's so freaking good. It's so good.
Some Infidel. Infidel was good. I like the Infidel ones.
Infidel and Pegasus.
Pegasus. What's Pegasus?
Operation Pegasus.
Oh, Operation Pegasus. Oh man, don't even give me.
That's I know. Shirko can happen, but those are the two games I think about playing with you.
Dude, Operation Pegasus. Okay, yeah.
We have a bromance, listeners.
Best city to get barbecue in.
Oh, interesting. That's a. Oh, you son of a bitch. I'm going to say Austin. I know you want to hear Kansas City, but I like a dry rub. I do like Austin, Texas barbecue.
Yeah, fair enough. At least you didn't pick like Norfolk or Seattle.
Right. I could have said Peoria, Arizona, because my barbecue is pretty damn good.
Okay. We had some damn good barbecue in St. Louis too at this place called Salt and Smoke, and like completely the hype. And that's from a Kansas City and saying St. Louis barbecue is good. It was good. What's a game you've wanted to play but haven't?
Line of Battle.
Oh, nice. Speaking of, Antietam or Shiloh?
Antietam.
Best food truck food?
Oh, I'm a taco guy.
Nice.
We actually, on Saturday, we went to a food truck event locally, and my family. So, although I might redact that based on this experience, there's a food truck locally that does Korean barbecue tacos that
Oh,
every time we go, I get distracted by something else because the lines are always long, and my wife wants something, my son wants something, and we kind of have to split in two, and I don't want to split in three because the lines are so long. So I just kind of go with them. And this time I was like, fuck you guys, I'm going to Kogi. It's called Hibachi Bot. Anyway, tacos are kind of what I go to, but at this event they had a lot of barbecue on mac and cheese. So we
oh
got
yeah.
like brisket and pulled pork on
Uh-huh.
mac and cheese and like a little paper boat thing. That might be my pick. I'm gonna go with tacos, but that might be redacted next time we do this.
So we went to Omaha recently. The last time before that we were in Omaha, we went to like that's when like speakeasies were the
Oh
thing.
yeah,
It was so good. And like my wife and I were drunk and we were walking, it was in Bricktown in Omaha if you've ever been. And we're walking back and like it's late and it like between us and the hotel perfectly under a street light was a taco food truck.
mm,
And it was like a gift from God. And
yeah,
they are some of the best tacos I've ever had. And when you're three sheets to the wind, a taco food truck hits
yeah.
about better than anything else.
And you're like, fuck it, I'll eat tongue. Bring it. Like, what do
Yeah,
you
right.
have?
Strike, hit me with it. I think this might line up, but I don't want to assume. Best food to pair with tiki drinks.
I yeah, a Mexican food. I do
Yeah.
like Polynesian food a
Uh huh.
lot.
Sure.
We'll make like Kahlua pork, or we'll make spam musubi and do tiki. But just like carne asada and tiki drinks is just
Yeah,
so classic.
dude. Steak, onion, cilantro,
Yeah.
lime, tacos,
Oh,
tiki
it's so
drink,
good.
bam.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yep.
I think that's what we're gonna do tomorrow. And we're both kind of on diets. So there's a place by us that does keto tacos. So they melt
Nice.
cheese on the plancha, carne
Uh huh.
asada, and then the cheese is a shell,
Yeah.
and then tiki drinks. Yeah, I'm
I'm
excited.
jealous. I'll be there. All right. Favorite non-war game related podcast. Can't be an advanced or alcoholic adventure ball either.
No. Um. Oh, the favorite. Ooh. I guess I'll go. Shit, that's really hard. I didn't. um. I want to say true crime bullshit, but it's kind of fallen off. I'll go Old Gods of Appalachia.
Oh yeah, baby. You know what
Yeah,
I want to hear.
it's so good.
His voice is meant for that.
It's so good. Hello, family.
I've not started season 3 yet. Have you
I haven't
started it?
either. I
Okay,
haven't
I'm
either.
letting it build up. I won't
Yeah,
wait the whole season. I'll
I
wait
like
till
to
like
binge.
the breaks. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
What'd you think of? And I'm the one that's delaying the questions, but what'd you think of season 2 as a whole?
It was good. I didn't like it quite as much as season one.
Season 1 was so
Um,
good.
but I don't know.
Season
It's
2
it's
took a
still so.
long time for it to like this is what I want to listen to every time I drive around
Yeah,
before it finally clicked.
yeah, and that's it. It kind of fell into the like Netflix has the like we need 12 episodes. No, this is like
Hmm.
a 6 episode arc.
Right.
And I think they could use some of that. But
Sure.
I get it. I mean, it takes a lot of production to kind of do that, so kind of stretching it out a little bit. I'm sure helps their production.
Nice.
True crime
What
bullshit in general is pretty good though too. It's mostly about Israel Keys.
who?
Israel Keys is a serial killer who maybe killed between a dozen and maybe I don't know a ton of people.
How do how do I not know that one?
Yeah,
Where was he active at?
I like true crime all over the country, and that's part of. So what this podcast is doing is kind of dissecting his interviews with the FBI. So he got arrested, kind
Uh-huh.
of played the long game, and then spoiler killed himself before he went on trial.
Oh,
So they're kind of trying to put the pieces together,
okay.
and um, either he killed everyone or
Hmm.
he killed like 10 people.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a really interesting story, and Israel Keys is a fucking douchebag. So
Right.
it's like a kind of hate listen. Um, the host is pretty good. They do a pretty good job. They're kind of in the weeds right now with the story, but yeah, if you like true crime, it's worth listening to.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out. We were big. We don't listen to it anymore as much just because we like fell off. But My Favorite Murder was when that
Yeah,
started was big for us.
Aaron and I stopped listening to that too.
Yeah,
They
I
kind of fell off a little bit.
like their first, I don't know, 80 episodes or whatever were brilliant, and
Exactly. Yep.
we listened to it and we drove 16 hours on like a road trip from Kansas City to North Carolina, whatever, and then we kind of went back, but we stayed in Asheville. And all murder, murder, murder all the time. And we're in this. We stayed outside of Asheville because Asheville hotels are like $350 a night. It's fucking nuts. And so we
Holy
stayed at
cow.
this. Yeah, it's nuts, dude. It is downtown Asheville's crazy expensive for hotels. Like other than that, it's fine. We stayed at this bed and breakfast, and it was actually their last weekend they were going to operate. We were their last guests. Super nice
Oh
couple, but
wow.
you stayed in a house separate from them, and they like lived on their own, like next to their own mountain, anyways. So murder for like the last 24 hours we're driving, whatever, and we're like laying in bed, and they have these old vinyl blinds, and all of a sudden the vinyl blind like shot up and went blop, 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 and like all you see is like open country and mountain behind you. It's like, what the
Yep.
fuck?
And you hear that guitar riff.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Uh-huh. Yeah. Nice. And well, it was true
Stay
crime
sexy.
bullshit.
Yeah, true crime bullshit.
Okay, I might give it a go. It's been a while since I've done a true crime thing. Let's see. What book is next to your bed on your coffee table right now?
I am reading, like I said earlier, In the Heart of the Sea, The Tragedy of the Whale Ship Essex, and I am reading Warlock by Jim Starlin, the complete collection.
Oh,
I like,
nice.
yeah, I'm also a comics reader, which I know you are from way back. And Aaron, I love the cosmic bullshit that
Yes.
Marvel did, especially back then, like just acid trip on paper. And Aaron told me, because next weekend we're going to go see Doctor Strange, who's probably up there, maybe number 2 or 3 Marvel characters for me. She was like, "Oh yeah, they're making an Adam Warlock show." I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
What?
So
I don't even
I
know
busted this back out, and yeah, getting through it.
Nice.
It's not as good as Doctor Strange or Silver Surfer, but it's good.
Did you read? I think I may have asked you this. Did you read Abnett and I don't know who. I don't even remember who wrote it now. Silver Surfer's Run.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
recently for okay. Oh, so
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
All right.
Are you talking about the Dan Slott?
Yeah.
The
Was it Slott and Abnett?
artist? No. What is his name? The guy who did Madman.
Mike Allred. I
Allred,
keep saying Abnett. It was Mike Allred. Yeah, 100% Mike Allred.
Yeah. Oh,
Yep.
those are so good.
That's
So
one of the
good.
best Silver Surfer runs for sure.
For sure. Yeah. The Omnibus comes out, I think, in September, and I'm going to.
Oh, really?
It. Yeah.
And see the upside down, like when the one where you like rotate the comic, like lost some of its effect in digital, which is how I read them. And then, that's good to know. I'd like to have a paper collection of it.
It's expensive. The Omnibus I think is $90, but
right.
That's such a good run.
Is it all of it, or are they breaking it into?
It's all of it. Yeah, it's I think all 6 trade paperbacks. So whatever that is times 6 or whatever.
That'll go on a wish list for sure. All right. Last great book you read?
The Destiny of the Republic, which I think I mentioned earlier. I like reading about U.S. presidents. I'm kind of going through. So that's a biography of James Garfield. Did you read Devil in the White City?
I've never read it.
Okay.
I've owned it and tried to start it. I've never gotten into it.
So Devil in the White City is kind of true crimey. So it kind of talks about H.H. Holmes and his quote unquote murder castle around the time of the World's Fair in Chicago, 1892, the Olympic or the Columbian exhibit or Columbian whatever. So it's kind of this kind of pop history by way of true crime, and that's kind of how I've been describing The Destiny of the Republic. It's a presidential biography by way of pop science.
Weird.
So it kind of ties in. I'm going to blank on the term now. But basically antisepsis, so like killing germs in medicine. Joseph Lister and Alexander Graham Bell is in it, and then James Garfield, and then his assassin. It is so good. It's 300 pages, something like that. It's very quick, and just tells the story from these kind of 4 perspectives so well. It's such a good book. It's like if somebody's like, oh, presidential biographies are boring, that's the book I'd recommend. It's so good. So good.
Nice. Even my aunt rated it 5 stars.
I did, yeah.
No, you did, and my aunt.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Candace Millard is the author. It's so good.
Nice. On my marked it one to read. If you could bring one book with you on the island, what would it be?
I'm going to say Catcher in the Rye. That's kind of one of my go-to, or the Basic Kafka. Actually, I'm going to do the Basic Kafka. So the Basic Kafka is a collection of kind of short stories, and there's like these weird meditations, and then some really good short stories like The Hunger Artist and The Country Doctor, that are just fantastic.
Nice. Last thing you binged on Netflix?
Drive to Survive.
Nice. Tiki bar or piano bar?
Tiki bar.
If you could meet and have dinner with any military leader, dead or alive, who would it be?
Westmoreland, probably.
Nice. Alien or Aliens?
I'm an Alien guy.
Sure. Favorite band?
Ooh. Matt, that's not fair. I have a Coheed and Cambria tattoo, so I'll say Coheed and Cambria. I've seen Jimmy Eat World the most live, but I go back probably to Coheed and Cambria more.
Nice. Now, you've already answered favorite war game, so I'm going to ask you second favorite war game. Because Vietnam's first, right?
Vietnam's first.
Okay.
And this will change, but I think just it like gut is Kigahara.
Wow, nice. Oh man,
It's
that game
such a
just
good
gets
game.
better with plays. It is.
Yeah.
Favorite Euro?
Power Grid.
Nice.
That's what my gut says.
Favorite RPG rule set or system?
My marketing brain says Wandering Stars. Yeah, let's just go with Wandering Stars.
Nice.
Favorite. That's tough because like DCC is so good, Dungeon World's so good, Mothership's so good.
Right, I'm not answering. That's why I'm asking.
I know that's tough.
Favorite RPG
Wandering
setting?
Stars on itch.io and Drive-Thru RPG. And if you want physical versions, just let me know.
Nice. Favorite setting for RPGs?
I really like Cyberpunk.
Nice. Favorite movie? Or hold on, let me back up real quick since you said that. Favorite system if you're going to play Cyberpunk or run?
I'm still kind of exploring it, honestly, because there's a lot and none of them do it exactly like I want them to. I think my favorite so far, I don't know, there's a D20 system called Mirror Shades, which is really good. It's basically just D&D for Cyberpunk, but the Sprawl is a Powered by the Apocalypse game.
Mm-hmm.
does a lot of stuff I really, really like. It's kind of focused on mission-based play, which I'm not really into. I like kind of slice of life stuff. Um, so I think I need to kind of break the sprawl apart. I'm a rules follower kind of by heart. Um, so I kind of play the games how they're meant to be played. And because of that, the sprawl didn't really do it for me. But I think if I were to spend some time to kind of break it apart a little bit and hack it, I think that would be the game for me.
Nice. Favorite historical site or historical site you'd most like to visit?
Oh, so I've never been to a historical battlefield, which is kind of interesting. I live in Arizona. We don't really have a lot here. Actually, the westernmost battle for the American Civil War is in Arizona, on Picacho Peak, which I've never been to, but I drive past it every once in a while. And I lived in Savannah, Georgia for a little while, and so I'm sure I walked over battlefields, but I didn't ever actually like go to a battlefield.
Huh.
That being said, I would probably like to go to I don't know, somewhere like Battle of Hastings area, maybe.
Okay.
What's the French kind of fortress?
Metz?
It's in I don't know, maybe Saint-Malo. I just listened to All the Light We Cannot See, and that's kind of
Oh, nice. Did you like
Saint-Malo.
that?
I did. I'm not a huge fan of that kind of historical fiction, but
Uh-huh.
it was good. It was really good.
Yeah, it's a good book.
So I'll say Saint-Malo.
Nice. Favorite tobacco blend?
Oh, if I'm around people right now, it's Lane BCA, which is kind of a vanilla Cavendish. No one's ever complained. If I'm alone, it's typically Peter Stokkebye Luxury Navy Flake.
Nice.
It's the smell is a little bit more like cigarette-y, so people don't like it as much, but I really like the flavor and feel.
Nice. Favorite pipe style?
Ooh, I like a slightly bent Dublin. So for non-pipe people, a Dublin is kind of, the classic pipe is called a billiard. It's kind of the straight-sided bowl. So kind of bend that down 15 degrees and then flare the ends out, and that's a Dublin.
Nice. That's it. You can stand up, shake your legs out. Hot seat's done.
Oh, that was so good. Thanks for doing that. I was very nervous. I asked Matt to do the hot seat, but then I got nervous, and that was good.
Good. All right. Anything else you want to add? Closing notes.
This is super fun, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
And congrats on kid number 2. Send Kat all of my love. Hope you two are doing well, and bless the baby 1 and baby 2.
Thank you, and will do. Thank you for taking the time to do this, giving up your Friday night. But
no, my pleasure. This was so much fun. I love talking to you.
All right. Well, just as a reminder, check out Jason Stuff Advanced After Combat, Alcoholic Adventure Cabal. They can find you at _RHT or on Instagram, right? Rocking Horse Streams.
Rocking Horse Streams.
Check out Wandering Stars. I legitimately recommend Wandering Stars. It's just tons of rules light fun and an inspiration for my own RPG that will eventually someday continue to work through development. But it's really good stuff. So check that out. Good.
It comes with a rule system and was it 2 or 3 adventures? I mean, there's a lot of game in there. And
the character generation, like, do they get a link to that if they do the itch.io thing? Like, is that a thing that's available to the public? Yep. Yeah, it's in the rules. They'll link to it. There's a little generator that you can just kind of click and it creates a character for you. The characters are weird and fun, and yeah, it's kind of horrific and zany, kind of whatever you want to play. Actually, I was thinking about playing that with my kids next after our Mouse Ritter campaign, because it could be kid friendly if you want it to be. Oh yeah, if you're not playing with a bunch of yahoos, totally. Exactly. Reading erotic fiction. Who would choose to not play with yahoos? Sampling every drug on the experiment table.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
Nice, man. Well, thanks again. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Yeah, you
We'll
too.
talk to you soon.
Thank you.